Hi, I'm Costa Dillon, Superintendent of Indiana Dunes National Lakeshore in Indiana.
Great, thanks. You can tell us a bit about our park and what's so special about this park of yours?
Well, this is a 15,000 acre park, northwest Indiana, United States, that preserves some really remarkable bogs, fens, rivers, dunes, woodlands, and prairies that are among the most special resources we have in this part of the United States.
And what are the challenges and opportunities of this park? It's right up next to big industries, I've noticed.
It is. We have two steel mills right next to the park. When this park was first proposed to be a national park almost 50 years ago, more than 50 years ago, industry was starting to come here, and people were mining the sand, taking it away to make glass. And other people were saying, oh, this is too special to be just used for sand for glass. We need to preserve this area. And eventually, some sand was removed and it's gone, but a lot remained. And what we have here today is a remarkable resource amidst about 1 million people who live in and around the park and industry. And it works. There's a terrific resource here right next to a major population. And people still come to the park, 2 million a year, to recreate and appreciate what we have here. Remarkable diversity, over 1,400 species of vascular plants in only 15,000 acres. That's almost as many species of vascular plants as you're going to find in a park as big as Yellowstone.
Now, see, there's quite a bit of restoration work being done. How's that coming along? Is there hope that a large part of the park can be restored to pretty much what it used to be?
A lot of the park is in its natural state. Our major threats are exotic species, plants that are coming in from other areas that are non-native plants, hybrid cattail and oriental bittersweet. And when you have non-native plants taking over native plants, that disrupts the entire chain of life, because the birds that fed on the native plants then don't have anything to feed on, and so forth and so on. So yes, we have areas we have to restore and work at all the time, but most of the park is in pretty good shape in its natural condition.
So it seems to me that this park, being right close to all these people and industries in and around it, and the railway lines, etc., is almost kind of an emblem of the future for wildernesses everywhere. And I guess you're ahead of the learning curve for everybody else.
We do like to think of it that way, is that I tell people in other national parks that if you're not facing what we face, you will be, because almost no park outside of Alaska is really remote anymore.
Right.
Parks are going to be facing what we call the urban wildland interface, people living and working in and near the park. And how do we work together with people, businesses, and industry to preserve both what the park is and to be sure people can live and have employment?
And how does sustainability, the viability of a park like this long into the future? The Park Service is nearly 100 years old. Can you imagine this park in 100 years' time still thriving?
What happens to this park in the next 100 years is not as much responsibility of the National Park Service as it is the people who live in and around the park and people who visit the park. It's the people who make up the neighborhood that are the future of the park. Because if they believe the park is important to them, the park will be preserved. And that's why something like the Bioblitz is valuable, because it helps people appreciate what's here. They may not realize how amazing this resource is, so we help them see that. And once they realize it, they gain appreciation, and then they want to preserve it.
It's pretty impressive. There are thousands of people here today, a lot of them young people, and I've noticed a couple of dozen what seems to be activist groups and friends of the Indiana Dunes. So it does seem like there's a substantial support base for the park.
There is a lot of support. This park was created by public advocacy, as were a lot of other national parks. But there's also people who are new here that weren't here when the park was created and may not have made that connection. So you always want to move into that next generation. You can't just rely on the people who started the park. You need the people who've come after them.
And just to close off, what would you ask people in the community to do if they really care about this park but maybe haven't done anything? Or what?
Well, you can become a park volunteer. You can join our Friends organization. You can go to our website and look for Park Neighbor and become a park neighbor, which are people who work with us and live in near the park and appreciate it. So there are all kinds of ways you can participate without being an employee, or you can just be a visitor and care for the park when you come and visit appropriately.